concubine to queen. Weeks had passed, and the king lay in bed, his body racked with fever and pain. He had suffered grievous wounds in battle, and his physicians had been working tirelessly to heal him. But despite their best efforts, the king's condition had only worsened, and it seemed that he was beyond saving. In the nearby busy marketplace, life went on as usual. Merchants sold their goods, children played, and women hurried about. But for a particular group of women, life was very different. These women were the concubines who lived in the king's palace. They were chosen for their beauty and ability to have children. They spent their days with other women in the harem, waiting for their turn to be with the king. Life in the harem was like a dream for many of these women. They had been taken from their homes and given a life of luxury. They had nice clothes, jewelry, and delicious food. They learned music and dance and were surrounded by other women in the same position. But for Adanna, being a concubine wasn't enough. She dreamed of something more. She dreamed of becoming the queen. Adanna was a clever and ambitious woman in the harem. She carefully observed and learned from the other women, mastering the art of seduction. She knew that her success depended on winning the king's favor, and she was determined to do whatever it took to achieve her goal. As she moved through the palace, Adanna watched and waited, constantly seeking the perfect moment to seize her opportunity. Adanna did not always live in the palace. She was born into a family of traditional healers, and from a young age, she was taught the secrets of the natural world. She learned to identify the plants and herbs that grew in the surrounding countryside, and how to use them to cure illness and alleviate pain. Growing up, Adanna was a shy and quiet girl. But as she grew older, she began to feel a restlessness within her, a yearning for something more. It was then that she caught the eye of a royal scout. He offered her a place in the harem, promising her a life of luxury and privilege. At first, Adanna was hesitant. But in the end, the allure of the palace was too great to resist. Adanna accepted the man's offer, and soon found herself living in the harem, surrounded by other women, each vying for the attention of the king. It was a life unlike any she had ever known, filled with intrigue and drama. And though she was just one among many, Adanna was determined to make a name for herself, to rise above her humble beginnings and become the queen. One physician after the other came and went from the king's chambers, their heads bowed in defeat. Amidst all the chaos, Adanna believed she knew what was causing his fever. She had seen similar symptoms before in her father's patients, and she was certain that she could cure the king if given the chance. Despite the skepticism of the palace physicians, Adanna approached the queen mother with a proposal. She asked for permission to visit the king and try to heal him using her traditional herbal remedies. The queen mother, desperate for any glimmer of hope, agreed to her request. That night, Adanna went into the king's chambers. She found him lying in bed, his face drawn and pale, his breathing shallow and labored. Without hesitating, she began to administer the herbal remedies she had brought with her, carefully measuring out each ingredient and mixing them together in a pot. Slowly but surely, the king's fever began to subside. His breathing became easier, and his color returned. As the night wore on, Adanna stayed by his side, monitoring his condition and administering more remedies as needed. When the sun rose over the palace the next morning, the king was sitting up in bed, his eyes bright and clear. Adanna continued to visit the king, to administer more herbal remedies. Their conversations grew longer and more intimate. They spoke of politics and the welfare of the kingdom, and Adanna revealed a deep knowledge and passion for the issues that plagued the people. The king was impressed by her views and her love for the common folk, and found himself drawn to her intelligence and charisma. One day, as they discussed the challenges of ruling a kingdom, Adanna hesitantly suggested that if she were queen, she could help the kingdom in ways that no one else could. The words conveniently slipped out almost absent-mindedly, but the king's attention was immediately caught. "What do you mean?" he asked, leaning forward in his chair. Adanna blushed, realizing that she might have revealed too much, too soon. "Oh, I'm sorry, Your Majesty. I didn't mean anything by it. I'm just a concubine, after all. It's not my place to make suggestions like that." But the king was moved by her words and her humility. "Adanna," he said, his eyes shining with emotion, "I have been watching you, and I am convinced that you have what it takes to be a great queen. I am going to make you my queen, and together we will rule this kingdom with wisdom and compassion." Adanna could hardly believe what she was hearing. She thought her plan would take months of bonding and intimacy to come to fruition. A smile slowly spread across her face, and she looked up at the king with a mixture of joy and disbelief. "Your Majesty," she said, "I will only believe it when I see it. But if it is true, then I will do my best to serve you and the kingdom with all my heart." A year before this moment, Adanna had first set foot into the palace. She was struck by the stark disparity between the privileged few and the struggling many. Despite having never experienced hunger personally, she was acutely aware of the hardships endured by those who had. Her family had played a pivotal role in assisting others during times of famine, providing aid and support to those in need. However, nothing could have prepared her for the sheer abundance of food she witnessed in the palace. She witnessed lavish banquets and feasts, a sight she had previously not thought possible. In that moment, she resolved to rise to the position of queen. The plight of the underprivileged weighed heavily on her, and she vowed to make a tangible difference in their existence. The king moved into action with a sense of urgency as if possessed. Papers and waivers were signed, and within a matter of weeks, Adanna had ascended to the throne. The kingdom was in a state of awe, as they had never seen a concubine rise to the position of queen before. For Adanna, the feeling was overwhelming. She had dreamt of this moment, and now it was finally here. As she stood before the cheering crowds, she felt a sense of power and purpose coursing through her veins. But not everyone in the kingdom was pleased with the king's decision. Some saw Adanna as an outsider, a seductress who had managed to manipulate her way into the king's heart. Rumors swirled that she had used dark magic to enchant the king, or that she had made promises that she could not keep. Others, however, saw Adanna as a symbol of hope and change. They believed that she had the potential to be a great queen, and they rallied around her, eager to see what she would do next. Driven by a profound sense of duty, Adanna embarked on a transformative journey. She ventured into the farthest reaches of the kingdom, immersing herself in the lives of her subjects residing in remote areas. There, she dedicated herself to implementing projects and initiatives aimed at fostering economic growth and uplifting those who had been overlooked for far too long. Years later, if one were to approach a random child on the street and inquire about their favorite royal figure, there would be no doubt. Queen Adanna's name would be echoed with genuine admiration and respect. Her remarkable contributions to the kingdom had left an indelible mark. Her efforts had truly transformed the kingdom, making a profound and heartfelt impact on the lives of her people. Thank you for watching our story, Concubine to Queen, and we hope you enjoyed it. Did your attitude towards Adanna change as the story progressed? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe and be part of the tribe. Thank you for watching The Tales of the Savannah. We will see you next time, in the Savannah.